On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1976. We're going to be taking a look at Lynyrd Skynyrd, and they're going to be performing Call Me the Breeze. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. First of all, thank you everyone for the requests to take a look at Lynyrd Skynyrd following the sad news that Gary Rossington passed away recently. So we're going to go back to 1976, and I have a couple of analysis videos on Freebird on the channel already, and I know that there have been a lot of requests for that, but we're going to take a look at Call Me the Breeze. We've got the guitar out as well, because there's so much in every single Lynyrd Skynyrd performance that you can point out about the guitar playing, but just them as a band and how great they were, considering how many members that were on stage at the time. They never stood on each other's toes, musically speaking. So let's get into the performance, and for reference, I am going to be jumping into this, so if you want to watch it the whole way through without me interrupting, there's a link in the description below as always. But let's get into it. I'm just going to jump in here because this is really difficult to jump into because there's so much kicking off all the time. But getting all the way back to the beginning, we kick off with that harmony guitar. So we've got this and that is actually being played the octave lower as well. So you get two versions of it. As soon as the rhythm section kicks in, you get, such a solid groove going on, because we're not just straight on the beat. And this is Artemis Pyle on drums, just laying down this groove where we've got this bounce in there. And a lot of people would refer to it as a kind of swing almost, because we're not straight. We're not just, like would be quantized in the studios nowadays. The groove is in there, it's organic, it's that living, breathing thing that is just setting everything up for everybody else in the band. And of course, that rhythm section is so important, the drums, the bass being the foundation of the performance. But what I love about this as well is the mix that we get, because normally with live performances, the mix can be a little bit hit and miss. But if you listen out, you can hear everybody and just focus in on whoever you want to. Listen out for Steve Gaines in the left channel here. So if you've got headphones on, listen out, because you'll be able to spot his lead lines that are being thrown in there. When you see him on screen, then you can start to pair up the sound with what you're hearing in that left channel. But I'm just going to take it back because, I mean, Steve, to begin with, all he's doing is literally just hitting his strings. Let's have a listen. And all of that, all of that that's going on in the left channel, that is Steve in the left. That wasn't Steve, that's me. But all of those really tasty lines, that's Steve in that left speaker. And all of that. And he's kind of keeping that bounce in there. Again, just everyone's on the same page. But let me just take it back to the beginning, just to reference the point that Steve was just not even playing anything when we started. Now you might have to have headphones on, but because I've got monitor speakers here, I can hear it clearly. We've got this. That's all that Steve's doing on his guitar. So when I say about these guys just playing their parts perfectly, they weren't a band who were all trying to show off and, you know, steal the limelight at any particular point. You've got Steve here literally doing nothing but hitting his strings. He's not even holding a chord here. But he's placing that in because obviously in the verse where we have the emphasis, and I mean the point is the emphasis is on the vocal. That's what you want to stand out. So Ronnie's vocal is right there in the middle and Steve's just helping everything along, maintaining the groove with those percussive strikes on his guitar. I mean, everything is just perfectly organized. But then when he comes in with little lead lines slightly later on, he's just placing those in there, but not then getting fully into the, fully into that rhythm and overplaying. He just plays his lead lines and then lets the other guitars take care of that rhythm. Let's just have a listen on. He's still just doing those strums with dead strings. And you can hear when he's throwing in those upstrokes, when he's got that, he's still getting all of that bounce in there, and having those downstrokes on 2 and 4, it means that he's matching that snare that Artemis is throwing in. So he's really doubling up on that solid rhythm driving forward, but then all of those upstrokes, if he throws them in, he's got the bounce in there as well. He's not playing straight. So like I said, everyone's just in this groove. And there we've had our first bend. And that was Steve in the left channel. And now because those notes now are popping out because he was just hitting his strings before. We weren't getting anything melodic, but now these notes are just coming in, and yeah, it's just a great mix. So I'll just run it forward a little bit, or back from where we left it, to have a listen to Gary's solo. And what I'll do is get this on screen so we can see the guitar, just to explore a little bit of what Gary's getting up to here. I'm just going to jump in here because actually in the background, Steve's gone back to just hitting the strings, not overdoing the rhythm. Again, these guys are creating space for the lead instrument, whether that be a vocal or a guitar. it means that you've got that focal point and all of the other instruments are just taking second place to that. They're allowing what they want to be the focus to be the focus, and that's a huge thing because dynamically they're just balancing themselves so well. I mean, this is just a performance that you can get into such detail with because of the caliber of musicians that we've got on stage. Getting into Gary's solo, we've kind of got this approach. It's actually quite low in the mix, but we've got this that kind of vibe. It is difficult to tell. It looks like he is picking out those strings with his right hand, but as he then plays through, I mean, what I love about his solo is the way that he's mixing together the major and the minor shapes. So we have this that kind of thing. So we're starting off really happy major, and then kind of tweaking towards the major there with a little bend, but now into our blues bend there, or if you want to play that note, the blues scale. But it's that blending that he does so well. And it sounds like here he's got this, he's actually hammering on there. It might be a little kind of trill that he's throwing in there. That kind of thing. See, again, now this, now getting major with it. And then straight into now, I mean, after he spent quite a long time on our, and he's kind of bedding you in that, but now he's gone up to, into his bends there in that minor pentatonic shape. And yeah, actually kind of picking that out as well. And then we hear now Steve coming in with the lines. But the other thing about that solo from Gary is the way that he's kind of throwing it together. You've got that sense of kind of abandonment or reckless abandon to do with the way that it's being performed. With that, you know, we're not kind of going and kind of picking out notes and making it sound kind of too exact, or going and trying to make it super clean. It's all kind of, you might even hear other strings getting involved, you know, but that's the point. Whatever happens, happens. And with that last part, it doesn't really matter if you miss a string or not, because it's more important to get the feel of the solo and the expression of the solo, rather than kind of picking through and go and kind of trying to, you know, be too exact with it. Just kind of let that right arm just go and kind of dig into it. And it's, I mean, this is kind of one of those songs, but one of those performances that, you know, it's all about the energy and the feel and the expression of everybody on stage, and they're just all on the same page. And you can see that Ronnie is just kind of totally into this vocal as well. He's feeling the performance. Let's get back into it. So, I mean, there's a good example where we have this from Steve. It now matches up with the left, so you can tell that that's his guitar. Out to California, might go down to Georgia, I don't know. now again, the technical ability across the whole band. We've now got this kind of thing going on from Billy Powell on keys. We don't actually see him in this performance, unfortunately. They never go to him with a camera. But is this level of technical ability for every single member of the band to be technically proficient enough to hold down a solo, which is a totally different level, as I always say. You've now got to take somebody on a journey musically just with your instrument, and that's so difficult to do, but all of these guys had the ability to do it. And we did just focus in on Artibus there playing the drums, but his foot, and that's where he's supplying that bounce with the foot pedal. Even with the guitar, when you're playing along with the rhythm, you kind of want to throw in all of that, the kind of strumming action, which you shouldn't really be doing, but and it's all of those kind of upstrokes. And you'll find that, yeah, you might catch other strings, but because that groove is so solid, you kind of want to just get in there, even though you should really only be making two strings be heard at any one time, because you might get other strings ringing out. But you'll notice as well how with Steve, he'll jump up, to the 7th fret, 5th fret, and then start with the A on the 5th fret as well. But that even you can probably get away with it a little bit more there, because you've got your first finger being used as a bar, but not really. It's just muting the top end of the guitar, so you get that. So you can start to throw in a little bit more of that sound. You can do it down the bottom, as I've just demonstrated. As I said, we could get into such detail with this, but let's just get back into it. Again, really tasteful stuff going on. It's just Steve throwing in a little fill there, but it takes your attention for that split second, because it's just a great line, but it's not too much. It just pops in and then it's gone. And that dynamic change is so well executed in order for Ronnie's vocal to now have that space. Steve is now playing those lead lines on the left-hand side as we're listening to it as that chord and response. And that's the great thing about having anything that's blues-based, is you can always get that chord and response from a vocalist to then the voice of a guitar or any other instrument, really. But you've always got that focal point, and we've got some great chords and responses going on. And again, some really cool stuff going on there. I think we have, again, little, just repeating line going across the E, the B, and the G string, but then back into a little bluesy finish just to resolve it back to the A. Really cool stuff. We actually had the same line there. Exactly the same as Gary was playing an octave higher. So we've even got this kind of blending of lines, even though it's two different guitarists. We've got them sharing the same kind of voice. They've got all of their own individual influences that they're using, but they're subconsciously blending with each other because they're at that kind of level. This is the great thing about playing live, playing with other great musicians, and being able to see this on stage. You can see and you can hear that they are starting to blend into one. And you know, that's what a band is all about. You've just got this one collective voice. But it's only possible with guys that are at this kind of level. And there we have it. That's how you do that. I love the way as well that Ronnie, right at the end, he actually sings, you know, that B flat, A sharp. And because you know that they're going to resolve, people might not know that, but he's going to be going down to the A. So that kind of, you know, and actually probably more likely, got that kind of ending that Ronnie is setting up vocally. But I mean, it's always great to look back at Lynyrd Skynyrd. I mean, certainly not the circumstances under which I'd want to look at a performance, given that Gary has passed away. But I'm sure wherever they are now, they are jamming away. They probably said to Gary, "Where have you been? We've been waiting a while." But they are now probably, yeah, making just a sound like no other. That's really what you can say about Lynyrd Skynyrd. When you're looking at these kind of live performances, the fact that they were at such a high level, but it's live. It's not just a band that were great in the studio. These guys were just totally on the same page, and it would have been great. And I'm sure anybody that saw this live, it's almost like a life-changing event to see a band like this at this kind of level and be so close to them and experience it firsthand. So it must have been fantastic for the people that were there to see it on this day back in 1976. But thank you guys again for all of the requests to take a look at Gary and the guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys at the next one.